James Olesen, Operations Manager from Home Comfort Experts, is here, and we find ourselves in basements a lot, don't we?
We do. That's where the equipment is.
That's where the furnace is, and today we're going to talk about furnace tune-ups, right?
It's time.
It is time. When is time?
Sometime throughout the heating season. Who should have their furnace tuned up? Everybody. If you have a furnace in your house, have it tuned up. I don't care if it was installed last year. I don't care if it's 40 years old. It is a fuel burning appliance. It's a controlled fire in your basement or closet or attic or wherever it happens to be. It absolutely needs to be maintained by a professional on an annual basis. So number one, we're doing a safety inspection on the furnace, making sure there's no cracks, faults, anything in that heat exchanger that can lead to carbon monoxide leaking out. We want to make sure that it is completely vented to the outside where it's supposed to be. Second of all, over 80% of all furnace failures are due to dirt in some way, shape, or form. It could be a filter that you forgot to change. How often have I said change a filter, change a filter, change a filter, right? So simply doing a tune-up and replacing that dirty filter with a clean filter at the start of the season is going to do you a lot of good. Flame sensors, burners, drains that can get plugged up with dirt and cause a breakdown that should not have happened. Had that furnace been maintained, had that drain trap been cleaned, the burner's been brushed off, the flame sensor been cleaned, it would have prevented that breakdown. The cleaner a piece of equipment is, the cleaner it's going to run, the more efficient it's going to run. It's going to save you money in the long run. The money you spend to have a tune-up done, you're going to save that money on your utility bills throughout the heating season.
Okay, and this is what Brandon is working on, right?
Absolutely.
He's making sure that everything's clean and in working order for us.
Yep. So he's going to go through this furnace from absolute top to bottom. Our goal, what we always say, is as close to like new condition as possible. It doesn't matter if that furnace is a year old, we're going to get it back to new. If it's 25 years old, we're going to get that as close to like new condition as we can before we leave. So it's somewhere in an hour and a half to 2 hour process where you're pulling apart parts and pieces, pulling the entire furnace completely apart, cleaning everything, putting it back together, inspecting everything as you're going. And when we leave, we're either going to give you a clean bill of health. Everything looks absolutely fantastic. You shouldn't have any issues to worry about. In fact, with most of our tune-ups, we have a no breakdown guarantee. If we give you a clean bill of health and your furnace breaks down, that repair's on us this heating season. We're that confident in our technicians knowing what to look for, knowing when to say, this needs to be replaced. No, this is just fine. And if something does break down and parts do just randomly fail that you don't see on an inspection, at least you're going to know that you have done everything you could to prevent that type of breakdown. He may come through a tune-up and find a few areas of concern. You know, it may be a list of you're not going to make it through the heating season with this particular part. This part, you may not want to take your chances. This is something we'll keep an eye on next year, measure it again, see where it's at next year. And you have kind of a running history having it done every single year of when it's time to replace that part, when it's time to just give up, you know, stop spending the money and replace that piece of equipment altogether. And also the dogs love it because the dogs get plenty of attention as the technicians are in the home too. So
well, you know, not only are they technicians you can trust with your house keys, but technicians you can trust
with your house pets as well. How about that?
Oh, well, that is so sweet. He's taking care of the furnace and the puppy at the same time. That's a good guy. Brandon, how long have you been with Home Comfort Experts?
For about 2 years now.
For about 2 years. Okay, well, that's a good man to keep on the payroll.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's taking care of the dog and the furnace. All right, so you're saying now is the time to call because we don't want to wait when there's snow on the ground and things are cold because that's when you guys are going to be really busy.
Absolutely. Hopefully you turn on the furnace before it gets too cold. Call now. One thing I will stress is not every tune-up has to be done this week. Obviously, we don't have enough manpower to do everyone's furnace tune-up this week. It just needs to be done once throughout the heating season. If your furnace tune-up was done kind of late winter, early spring, it can wait again until late winter, early spring. Just needs to be done once a year. If you have not had it done in a year or 2 years or 3 years, then I would really stress, get it done before the bulk of the heating season. Make sure that those nuisance things that we can take care of on a maintenance are done now. If it's something you do year after year after year, just make sure it's done. If you're a club member of ours, of course, we're going to call you and remind you when it's time for that tune-up to be done.
All right, something to consider. Make sure you get your furnace tuned up now. And you can always find Home Comfort experts online at callhomecomfort.com, or just call them 574-255-4600, and then you'll get that little text with the picture of the technicians that's coming to your house. Like, I got a picture of Brandon, and look, he's here doing the work right on time. And it's Home Comfort experts. Call them today, and this is the 574 and more.